Does your child struggle to have a good attitude and is generally just kind of grumpy? In this short video, I will give you specific steps you can take to teach them how to choose to have a good attitude without having to deal with it a lot yourself. By the end, you will have a real plan to help them choose to have a happy spirit. So let's get right into the steps. Number 1, have a conversation. At a time of no conflict, let your child know that you have noticed they are forming a habit that you want to help them overcome. The habit is they choose a bad attitude when things don't go their way. Make sure this conversation is not accusatory or shaming. It should be given in a loving and kind and supportive way. Let them know that you're concerned and you're going to help them overcome this problem. Number 2, explain that a good attitude is a choice. Let your child know that they make a choice about how they will behave when they're frustrated or disappointed. They can choose to have a happy spirit, and that will make them happy and everyone else around them happy, or they can choose to be grumpy, and that will make them unhappy and everyone else around them unhappy. These are their choices. Then say, wouldn't it be wiser to choose a happy spirit? Number 3, ask them for solutions. Give them a chance to respond and see if they have any suggestions about what they can do to change this in themselves. Listen and allow them to express their thoughts about this problem. But remember, the question will be, what can they do about the problem? It is not a session for them to grudge and grump and complain about other people and how they're causing them to feel that way. If this happens, remind them of what you just told them. A good attitude is a choice, and it is not determined by the actions or behaviors of others. Help bring their focus on what they can do to change their own attitude. Remind them they only have control to choose how they behave and how they respond. They don't have the choice to choose how other people do. So isn't it wiser to choose to be happy? Number 4, relate the problem to others around them. Tell them that their choice to be grumpy and have a bad attitude cannot be allowed to affect everyone else in the household negatively. You love them and you love everyone else too. They will have to choose to have a happy spirit, or they will have to leave the company of everyone else until they do choose that. Again, let them know that this action is because you love them and you know they are capable of making good choices. Now, before I go to number 5, I just want to remind you, this is for someone who has a generally grumpy attitude most of the time. Someone who has just a negative attitude. It doesn't mean we all don't get kind of sad or kind of feel bad here and there. It's okay. We all do that sometimes. I'm talking about a general grumpy attitude. That's what is not okay. Okay, number 5. Hold them accountable. Once this has all been explained and the communication has been made clear, tell them that from now on, in order to help them overcome this issue, you will be holding them accountable by giving them an opportunity to change the situation if you see that they are choosing to be grumpy. When you see they are pouting or starting to act grumpy, give them one reminder and see if they change their attitude within a minute or so. If they don't, tell them to go to their room or another designated area without any distractions and make the choice to have a happy spirit. When they have made that choice, they can come back to you and let you know. Now, in just a minute, I'm going to give you a story about my 3-year-old and how well this works. But let's go on to number 6. Follow through. The way to follow through is to make sure that your child has made a choice to change their attitude before they're allowed to continue with the day's activities or join the group. For very young ones, when they come back to you, say, "Have you chosen a happy spirit?" If they say yes, ask them to see their smile. If they attempt a smile, you can tell if they're really being sincere. If they're just trying to con you, you'll be able to tell that too. Make a determination, and then if they aren't being sincere and you can tell they haven't really given up their grumpy attitude, send them back for a little longer until they're ready. But if they do have one, say, "Good job, I'm so glad you chose to have a happy spirit." Then continue to let them go through their day's activities. For older children, you can still send them away and ask them to go change their attitude. As long as you have a good spirit when you say it, you're not accusing, you're not shaming or anything like that. And be sure they're going somewhere where there are no distractions like a TV or computer or books or games or toys or whatever. But when they return, you just want to ask them if they're feeling better, and then let them go on and see if their attitude has really changed. And I say this is a little different for older children because they're going to have a different measure of pride involved. So you need to be really careful about the way you discuss this, especially if it's in the presence of others. Now, this method really works. I remember one of my daughters, when she was around 3 years old, she generally had this habit of having a pouty and grumpy attitude. I decided this wasn't okay, and I wanted to teach her to choose a different attitude. I knew that everyone had the opportunity within their own self to choose whether they're going to have a good attitude or a bad one. And whether they're 2 or 3 or 4 years old, they need to start learning that. So I started doing this with her. Well, I had a friend come over one day. We're sitting in the living room having a conversation, and my little 3-year-old starts doing the attitude thing, the grumpy pouty face thing, for no good reason. I mean, obviously, there was nothing going on. And so I just said to her, you need to go away into your room till you have a happy spirit. Well, she knew exactly what I meant because we had done that a couple of times before. So she marched up the stairs, and we continued our conversation. Just about 3 or 4 minutes later, she comes down the stairs. She says, I have a happy spirit now. And I said, let me see your smile. And she gave me a smile. Of course, it was kind of contrived, but she was definitely trying, and I could tell. And so I said, good job. I'm glad you chose a happy spirit. And then I started continuing to talk with my friend. My friend, of course, was like, wow, I've never seen a kid change their attitude so quickly. And this is the reason I remember this particular situation, was because my friend was so in awe of the situation and saw my child change her attitude so quickly. Seriously, your young child is capable of understanding and making choices about their own attitude, if it's described to them in a way that they can understand and they can grasp. So you need to talk to them in an age-appropriate way where they can understand the language you're giving them. And this will also make them happier. Remember, a child who has a rotten, grumpy attitude isn't happy, just like you're not happy when you have that attitude. And I'm not happy when I have that attitude. Now, if you've gained some good ideas from this video, I hope that you'll click on one of the cards on the screen now so you can see another step-by-step instructional video. You can also check out my book, How to Train Your Child to Behave, that you'll find in the links below. Parents, you can do this. I hope to see you here next week.